the scene and setting the scene and introduce the EIT education area, on the context of which then you will hear concrete examples of the activities. We have booked 2 hours for this webinar, but the idea is also they would like to ask you if you're interested to learn more about these activities, to come back to us, and we can organize and provide more in-depth workshops on particular cases, so that you would learn more how to address points that are related to the concrete examples. Now, I'll share my presentation. I hope you can see my my presentation now. So I would like to start with emphasizing and highlighting that as a EIT, we represent a very unique instrument in the EU innovation landscape. We're part of the Horizon Europe program. Our motto is to empower innovators and entrepreneurs to develop innovative solutions to global challenges and create growth and jobs for Europe. EIT Central is located in Budapest, but our activities are done through the knowledge innovation communities, which are pan-European network of partners from different segments, bringing together relevant actors in their ecosystems from research, innovation, business, and education as well, to work together to address these societal challenges. So in this way, the EIT model is unique in the scope and scale how the innovation process is supported and addressed within these areas. By now, we have 9 knowledge innovation communities, and by the end of this programming period, we still will establish 1 more new innovation community in the water ecosystem. Now, our mandate in terms of education is to foster entrepreneurship and innovation skills and competencies. And in the new period, we also try to scale up and level up this effect and have more systemic impact also on increasing entrepreneurial and innovation capacity of higher education sector at institutional level. So not only in terms of concrete activities, improving learning and skills of students, but also looking at how to support the whole sector and institutions. That being said, the EIT model is very diverse and decentralized. It's the innovation communities who are in charge of designing and developing their concrete set of portfolio of activities. However, when we look at the global picture, you will find a various set of activities within the EIT education, starting from degree education, master and doctoral programs, but also spanning across also executive training, postdoctoral, lifelong learning, continuous professional development, online learning, small modules, also MOOCs, and also wider society education. So novelty formats, not only formal education. A very strong part in our activities is also alumni community, so bringing or keeping learners together with other participants from other activities, not only education, in a sort of network that it can support their further professional and entrepreneurial progress. And as I mentioned, this is just to document that this model is really implemented through bringing together partners from different segments. On top of that model, centrally, we steer also strategic development of certain strategic initiatives. On our very strong initiative is EIT Label, where we define the EIT added value in terms of skills and competencies for learners from EIT education programs. In the new programming period, we have the new higher education initiative, which addresses the strategic objective that I mentioned earlier, increasing the strategic innovation and entrepreneurship capacity at higher education institutions. And also in the new European innovation agenda, EIT is contributing with creating new deep tech talent initiative, nurturing talent in deep tech sector, and with ambition addressed to 1 million talent in this sector, which is very, very ambitious. After this short introduction, it will be my pleasure to give floor to the first case study. So I will stop my presentation here, and I'll give floor to my colleague Luisa Heinrich from EIT Climate Kick, who will present their first case study on Young Innovators Program. Luisa, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Marianne. I'm very happy to be here and to present one of our education programs that we launched with our partners back in 2018. I also prepared a presentation that I'm going to share with you here. I guess you can see my screen now. All right. Well, my name is Luisa Heinrich. I'm the co-head of education and learning with EIT Climate Kick, one of the oldest kick in the space, with a long history of designing and developing education entrepreneurial programs together with learning designers and our community of partners. And as I said, I'm very happy today to be presenting one of our youngest programs that we have designed back in 2018. And the basis for it was that we all know that climate emergency is here and that demand is growing for climate action that really matches the scale and urgency of the challenge. As our understanding of the science deepens and develops, so does also our understanding that only through systems change we will be able to tackle the root causes of our changing climate. However, building a climate resilient and just future is only possible through inclusion and empowerment, which means that we must work across generations to build cooperation and to make room at the decision-making tables for those who have historically not had a voice. So, in the meantime, we have seen we see that the demand for green skills is growing, both for employers and employees, while there continues to be a gap in formal education and the recognition of such skills. Several studies have shown that well-timed sustainability education interventions with young people have huge beneficial effects for students in terms of their civic participation and the responsibilities they take on as they age into adult society. So this calls for a revision of educational systems and the adoption of an experiential and challenge-led learning approach that really ensures deep learning, increased knowledge uptake, and the development of soft skills for personal fulfillment and also active citizenship. That's why in 2018, we developed the Young Innovators Program, an experiential program aimed to introduce a systems innovation approach to 12 to 18 years olds to foster social awareness and entrepreneurial thinking towards tackling climate change challenges in the school environment. Our theory of change holds that through this challenge-based and experiential learning and by using participatory tools, we train partners and educators to then empower teenagers to contribute to carbon neutrality and help transform systems for the future. It's really built around teaching young people the skills that we believe are important in facing climate change, but also other complex challenges they might face. So with the program, it's our mission to empower future generations to lead us to a net zero carbon economy. And we want to equip young people worldwide with the skills and competencies needed to become change makers and lead systemic innovation. Competencies such as systems innovation, creativity, and enterprising skills. And also, thirdly, in the long run, we hope to really transform the education system by mainstreaming climate change education and embedding systems innovation and challenge-based learning into curricula. So the goal is to really empower young people now, but also to make sure that climate change and systems innovation becomes a core part of what they are learning in schools. So our methodology is a result of the application of a challenge-led and a collective problem-solving approach in the educational context. It's built on solid pedagogical methodologies such as experience-based pedagogy, active blended learning, and cognitive mapping and knowledge visualization. And principles of ESD, as well as relevant competency frameworks such as EntreCom, DigiComp, and GreenComp have been integrated, and the methodology has been tested in different contexts and revised where needed. So we developed quite elaborate lesson plans for teachers to be used that include a set of participatory tools that can really stimulate the students' thinking process. So the focus again is really the challenge-led and experience-based approach, and we make use of cognitive mapping to help students better understand the interrelated concepts and the complexity of systems. So these are just examples, some examples of the tools that we have developed. So the upper two are really about coming up with as many relevant factors surrounding the challenge as possible, where the right one helps the students a little bit in the right direction by providing categories they could think of. And the bottom two tools stimulate the students to think about possible solutions and dream about what a newspaper cover could look like in 2030 or 2050 when their solution is implemented. And all participatory tools are designed around competency development. So they can be used for all kinds of challenges without having to be adapted. So for example, also in the Skills for Future program, where also some of these tools have been used, we've trained teachers in different countries with this methodology using the challenges that different KICs provided. So this program consists of three parts. The first part is School Innovators, where students and teachers are trained on the methodology. The second part is the Young Climathon, which is a hackathon in which students come together in teams to work on a challenge, first really understanding it and then finding leverage points and come up with innovative solutions. This is usually 1 or 2 days where the students really step out of their daily school routine to work on a real-life challenge from a local business or a government body, or maybe the school itself, so that it's very tangible and relatable to them. And they really feel like they're actually contributing to something that matters. The Young Changemakers part, in which the winning teams or the most ambitious ones receive continued mentorship to further develop their solution. And to guide teachers through this process, we developed a set of lesson plans that really help them work with their students and to stimulate them to really understand all the relevant factors surrounding the challenge, to think out of the box when coming up with a solution. Since we started the program back in 2018, we grew quite a lot. We are now active in about 25 countries, still mostly in Europe, but also more and more expanding to, for example, Latin America and also and Asia. So in total, we trained or we empowered around 11,000 students and trained 4,000 teachers. We co-designed the program methodology with our global community of partners, of delivery partners. So our role is really program and methodology development, the training of the partners and their guidance, sense-making, monitoring, learning, and impact evaluation. So we designed a survey as well that all the partners can use, and the ecosystem and partner engagement, connecting to the wider community, dissemination of the results, as well as providing the learning platform based on Moodle and a Notion that's also accessible for to get access to the resources. And local partners are responsible for local ecosystem engagement, schools and educators, local industries, local governments, municipalities and ministries, the local community, to really organize the local program activity, teacher training, student workshops, young climathons, follow-up guidance of the student teams, and communication outreach and local community engagement. What is also really important is that this program can be really adapted to local needs, to the local challenges, and to the local context. To scale the program, we developed a set of resources that help partners and teachers with the implementation. So there's a partner handbook on how to organize the activities, teacher handbook and lesson plans that guide teachers through the pedagogy, and they can also use the visual tools in different contexts, so in different subject areas within their kind of school environment. Learning content on systems innovation and circularity, participatory tools with also tips on how to facilitate them. As I said, an interactive learning platform based on Moodle, a very active partner community that's very passionate about the program and eager also to share best practices and learnings, the centralized evaluation of the program impact, and a variety of communication material that helps to get schools, funders, and challenge owners involved. So what I have here is a short video that I'd like to show, present to you now. And I hope the sound is working.
We are in the middle of a climate crisis. All around the world, we are starting to see the negative impact of our changing climate. We need to take action now. People have to work together and change their lifestyles entirely if we really want to tackle the causes of climate change. Young people and many others with us are demanding that change comes faster. We have been organising ourselves, calling for climate justice. It will be up to my generation and the next to become climate innovators and lead us toward a zero carbon economy. We have great imagination and so many good ideas already. But we shouldn't have to leave the classroom to show that we care about climate change. Help us by enabling us to learn about the complexity of our current systems and by allowing us to experiment and develop the competencies to change these systems. My generation is ready to make a difference. We have a lot of potential and the world needs to start making use of it. Enable us to tap into our ideas and imagination. Join us in leading change.
So this is, we are now at the end of my presentation, and I would really invite you to join us in empowering the next generation of change makers and with the skills needed to really lead that systemic innovation. And I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Luisa. I think it's very inspiring and to see how also young generation is very keen and interested to help address these challenges and to improve. I'm asking colleagues if you have any questions. Jacobin?
Yes, we do have a question from Eva. She asks, how are you measuring impact, Louise?
So we do pre and post surveys, both with teachers and with students. And we are also, our partners do these surveys, and we are also occasionally doing interviews with participants and with teachers. So we developed a questionnaire for both teachers and students and share this via our Moodle platform. So the nice part also about the Moodle is that partners can adapt the Moodle environment to their needs and also then run the survey via this Moodle platform to also be able to gather the data from there.
Thank you. Invite all the participants to still put their questions in the chat for you or in the part. But while we wait for another question from the audience, maybe you can tell us a bit more. So this is really your program revolves around climate change, do you think that you can see this program also apply to other themes? So maybe some of the themes that we as the EIT community also deal with.
Yes, definitely. And that's what I was also mentioning in my presentation. So with the Skills for the Future program, for example, other KICs are already tapping into the visuals, into the methodology, using their own challenges. So definitely it can be used by other KICs, by other organizations, and not only on the topic of climate change, but it can be adapted to any challenge the organization, the school is facing. Yes.
Great,
that's actually the beauty of that program.
One more question from the chat that came in. Is it possible to share teacher handbook and
we can share the teacher handbook. I need to check with my colleague how we can do this. As I said, we have a Notion and we have also the Moodle. So as a follow-up from that presentation, I will share with you the links to the Moodle where participants and teachers and organizations can log in to access the material.
Great, thank you. And then maybe the last question that here came in, are all the resources editable?
Sorry?
Are all the resources editable?
Well, you can print them and edit them. Some of the visuals are also really easy to draw yourself. That's also how we develop them. That kind of, you can like really draw them on a big flip chart. And yes, with the right tools, you are also able to edit them.
Great. And then another one from the Q&A function. How do you reach out to schools?
This is done via our partners. So all the delivery partners, they have networks established with schools already. So we as a KIC, we're not working directly with schools.
Okay. Then another one from the chat. What are the future plans for this program?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our partners are continuing to work and deliver that program, and we are embedding the program or program modules in our wider portfolio of activities. For example, when the ministry is asking us, hey, we really like that approach, and we design a program targeting their education or based on their education system on their needs. And so we work with the ministry and with local organizations. Yes.
Great, then we'll do one more live, and then all the other questions that we're not able to answer, if you have more, please put them in the chat, and we'll make sure that Louise has time to answer it in writing, and then we'll put it on our website. So last question here. Can you reach out, and how do you reach to the most vulnerable communities? For example, rurals, corals, etc., to ensure that no one is left behind?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And some of our partners, for example, that are working in Latin America really are deliberately working with the second-tier cities and underprivileged communities. So really with schools and community centers in those areas. Also, we had with our partner, Polytechnical University of Madrid, they worked in local communities in Madrid, also using citizen science to empower, foster skills to really kind of inspire also these young people. And with this kind of focusing on these young people, they are role models also within their family then. So that's also one aspect why it's so important to focus on these young people.
Great, thank you, Louise. We will make sure that all the other ones are available on our website, and then I'll hand the floor back to Mario.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luisa, again. Let me also remind, if anyone is interested to learn more, we'll be curious to hear back from you so we can organize maybe follow-up session to go in deep into the concrete example and look at all the aspects and the nuances of this program, how helpful it can be and applicable in your particular context. So thank you again. And now it's time to move to the next case study and presentation. So it's my pleasure also now to introduce Martin Vardenkamp, who is the Director of Education at the EIT Food and who will present their professional education and certification system. Martin, floor is yours.
Sorry, I think we switched. So it'll be Javier from InnoEnergy. Alberto from InnoEnergy.
All good, yes, another Spaniard, yes. Yes, well, I'm glad to go now, if that's all right for everyone. Marian, thank you. I'll be sharing my screen. I have prepared a short presentation to guide you through this program that we launched back in 2010. So you should be, actually, just give me a second, I'll reshare because I'll need the audio very soon. All right, you should be seeing my screen now. Let me know otherwise. So I already mentioned, my name is Alberto Gonzalez. I work in the education team at EIT InnoEnergy as Innovation and Entrepreneurship Education Manager. And I'm here today to tell you a bit more about a program we launched, again, back in 2020. We call it the Battle of Green Talent. And basically, we started the Battle of Green Talent because we wanted to look at student entrepreneurship, to take it to the next level, to analyze how we could be even more efficient and effective on creating startups. But I'll tell you the details very soon. So as EIT InnoEnergy, we were one of the first KICs, one of the first knowledge and innovation communities created by the EIT. And of course, we know that student entrepreneurship matters, and it matters, I guess, in every sector, but especially in sectors such as sustainable energy, because we literally need everyone for achieving the energy transition. So we are very much keen on supporting student entrepreneurship, to ensuring that our students have the right competencies, the right skills, the right knowledge, and also the right mindset. And we do that through our programs. But we also realize that student entrepreneurs and graduates, they struggle when they want to start up. They struggle with access to capital. They struggle with prototyping, with connection to corporate piloting, and a number of other aspects. I mean, and we know that 20% of student startups overall usually fail within the first year, and 50% soon after that. So we, from the very beginning in our programs, we decided to focus on student entrepreneurship. Now, how do we do that? Well, we are true believers on hands-on entrepreneurial experience. So we know that learning needs to happen beyond the classroom when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to business creation, and when it comes to innovation overall. So within our programs, with our sustainable energy engineering programs, we execute what we label innovation and entrepreneurship journey, which are innovation and entrepreneurship activities throughout the 2 years of our master programs. And we do this with case-based approach, project-based approaches as well, with projects coming from industry, and also access to the network of startups of EIT InnoEnergy, which I will very soon tell you more about. Now, maybe I can say that, well, currently we have 7 master programs in sustainable energy engineering with some of the best universities in Europe as our partners. I'm talking about UPC, Uppsala University, Aalto University, KTH, KU Leuven, and École Polytechnique, and well, the rest of very top-notch institutions that you see in there. And also we partner up with leading business school and innovation and business creation centers to execute this innovation and entrepreneurship journey. So we mostly work with the SADE Business School in Spain and with Unternehmertum in Germany, in Munich, for these innovation and entrepreneurship activities. Since we started, we have, or our students and graduates, I should say, have created 80+ startups. And we have 7 entrepreneurs and students overall in Forbes 30 under 30 lists. These are some examples of startups created by our alumni. We have energy blockchain startup FlexiDAO. They have renewable energy monitoring software to ensure the origin of the energy on real time, and they use blockchain for that. Bamboo Energy, which is a solution for integrators and aggregators and retailers. We have SmartDebate, for instance, which is a configurator for plug-and-play smart devices, and Seabody Technologies, which is, well, rethinking nuclear with a small molten salt nuclear reactors. Just to give you an example of 4 of the startups out of the 80 I just mentioned. In addition to our education branch, and as probably some of you are already aware, InnoEnergy is a leading impact climate tech investor. We invest in mostly on seed companies with an equity for services model. And currently we have a 180+ portfolio of companies in which we have an equity position. And to give you an idea of the size of these companies, we have 3 unicorns, to use the Silicon Valley sort of like terminology, 6 Centauros. For those of you who are not familiar, Centauros are those companies valued $100 million or more, and 47 ponies, or companies valued $10 million or more. We have been, as of late, we have been receiving quite a few recognitions from PitchBook, for instance, as the first energy investor in 2020, Startup Genome 2021, the first VC investor in Europe and second worldwide, and also top 10 active deep tech investor from ShiftTech, which is the Financial Times branch. So putting together what we know about student entrepreneurship and all our experience on the investment side, we knew that we needed to take it to the next level, that we needed to take the innovation and entrepreneurship experience of our students yet one step forward. And it's a pleasure for me to now introduce you Battle of Green Talent. I also have a short video, which I'll be playing very soon, and then I'll take it from there. Please let me know if you don't hear it or if there is any problem.
Planet, the most ingenious and wonderful ecosystem known to man. But if we want it to thrive, we need to change course. The time is now to step up and move towards sustainable energy. We are asking you to take on this challenge. With a taste for innovation and entrepreneurship, and with a backpack full of energy, you have what it takes to make it happen. We know you are committed and empowered to come up with the brightest ideas and change the world for the better. After 2 successful editions, where over 500 students from 15 top European universities joined forces to create innovative and impactful startups, and students from world-class business schools invested in the most promising ventures, it's time to do it all over again. The battle of green talent is back. In the upcoming months, you will join forces to transform technological innovations into world-changing business cases. You will be supported by experienced advisors. You will persuade investors to place their virtual capital in your idea, and you will deliver solutions never seen before. As a true entrepreneurial ecosystem, we have the power to spark the change. Will you also join us?
Well, I hope that served a bit as an introduction to Battle of Green Talent, but to tell you a bit more of what Battle of Green Talent is specifically. It is a competition and a program which we created in EIT Energy to give every student the opportunity to test their startup idea. All of our students have the possibility to submit their ideas, submit their startup concepts to the competition. And it happens in an online environment, together with face-to-face on-site events. But maybe the most relevant aspect of Battle of Green Talent is that the platform resembles or mimics a real entrepreneurial ecosystem. So our year 2 students, the master students in their second year, they are the ones who can be entrepreneurs. So EIT Energy's second year, and I should also say alumni from our programs. So they can submit their ideas, and then they join this platform in which they are met also with talents. And talents is another role we have in the program, which is our year 1 students, but also students from partner and non-partner universities that join to the competition to be able to join some of the startup teams. So you can think about the platform a bit like a talent pool in which our entrepreneurs hire people and try to convince people to join their teams, with the idea to have multidisciplinary teams. In addition to these roles, we have investors, and investors are students from leading MBA and management master programs in business schools that join, and they are the ones deciding in which startups they are going to invest. So again, we try to mimic the real entrepreneurial world with business angels, VCs, and other investors. And we do that by giving them virtual money, which we call green coins. And the investors are the ones, as you see, for instance, in this timetable in their timeline in there, they have 3 funding rounds in which they can actually invest these green coins in the projects in the platform. By investing in the projects, they create a portfolio for themselves, an investment portfolio for themselves. And also we are using that information to come up with a valuation of those projects, so we can rank, the projects based on the investor's opinion. But we are very much bringing the business component into our engineering programs. And in addition to these 3 roles, which are played, if I can say, by students, we have advisors coming from EIT Energy's investment arm, and also corporates, to provide feedback and provide comments on the business plans. So basically, by the end of round 4, we have a ranking of the best 5 startup projects, and those 5, they go to a pitching event, which in fact for this 3rd edition is going to happen tomorrow here in Stockholm. To give you an idea and to start finishing up the presentation, these are some of the universities we have worked with. Of course, our network of partner universities for entrepreneurs and talent, but also, as I said, leading business schools like ESADE Business School, London Business School, Said Business School, Grenoble School of Management, Unternehmertum, Nijrode for the investor side. Some examples of companies that originated from the first 2 editions and 1 that is finishing up now. Tether, it's in Techstars 23. They're midway through their fundraising round now. Vehicle to Grid company. Rely, nowadays working on battery management systems, received quite an important grant from the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Actions in Germany. Climatize, $700K raised from VCs, business angels. Forbes 30 under 30. Solar Container Marine went to win the EIT Jumpstarter after. Plex is a smart bin. I can tell you more about the startups if needed later on. Also with very successful prototype and pilot. And Enersol, they just came back from the MIT Climate and Energy Prize final. Unfortunately, they didn't win, but they just came back from there last week, and they will be presenting in the pitching competition I just mentioned tomorrow. We do this to equip our students, to empower them to become entrepreneurs. We also know that even if they don't become entrepreneurs, the competences, the skills, the mindset they learn through the innovation and entrepreneurship journey and Battle of Green Talent. I also want to emphasize the innovation and entrepreneurship journey. They are equipped for success even if they don't become entrepreneurs but work in corporate. That's it. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to answer any question you may have.
Thank you, Alberto. And let me open floor for questions. Before we dive into the questions, if we have any, let me ask you if you can maybe summarize what do you think is the potential for scalability of this approach and this concrete model and activity, and to maybe expand to the different context within the EIT scope of societal challenges across different KICs, but also beyond. What will be the key aspects, elements that the potential people would look like when you want to apply it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. So yes, of course. So we are looking to the future. Of course, our objective will be still to run this competition every year for our students to become entrepreneurs. But first, I already mentioned talents. We think and we know we need multidisciplinary teams. So the competition is open for talents for every institution, not only partner institutions of InnoEnergy. And regarding, transferability or executing it in different contexts, pretty, let's say, straightforward, because it's just a question of changing the topic. Yeah, so you change the topic, you can use a very similar approach, a very similar platform. I have to say that part of our success is the link with the innovation and entrepreneurship activities we already have. So that needs to be in place to support Battle of Green Talent or Battle of whichever talent we want to do.
Thank you. Jacobian, do we have any questions?
Definitely. We have already a bunch of questions, actually, Alberto. So that's good. First one is, how do you select the universities you work with? And here, an extra question was, how do you ensure a balance between innovative leaders and then emerging or moderated innovation regions? Do you try to ensure an equal geographic distribution?
Maybe I should say we start, of course, with our partner universities. We already have a pretty solid network of partners, and we work with them for our master programs. And then, of course, what we try to do is that we try to expand to other faculties within those companies. We are not limited by geography. So basically, we are open to any geography that would be willing to join, but we don't enforce, in a sense, a geographical distribution. So if we get a geographical distribution, I think that's great. And we're always looking for partners. So any institution who wants to join for talents, we're very happy to discuss forward.
Thank you. Then a short question: the Green Talent competition will also run next year? How do you select the students?
We don't select the students. Basically, every student is I should say, and I want to emphasize this again. So the entrepreneurs are Year 2 students from EIT InnoEnergy or graduates. That's the only criteria we have. But then, like everyone with an idea, can get into the platform and give it a try. The investors are then the ones that actually by investing or not investing, are starting to rank the startups. But we don't kick out any startup. So they can go through the whole competition. This is not a stage gate process. The 3 rounds, everyone who starts can actually finish, and they polish their ideas in the process. But there is no screening and no stage gating.
Great, thank you. Then can you explain more about how the green coin system works?
Yes, so I'll simplify it a bit, but every investor gets an amount of green coins when they join the competition. And basically, the entrepreneurs are putting forward their business cases. And then we open a funding round. And with those green coins, the investors can invest in the startups that they think they are more interesting. Then the funding round closes. We do another round of polishment of business plans and extension of business plan. And then they invest again with more green coins.
Thank you. I think we have room for one more question.
Yeah, we'll do one more to finish it up. All the other ones will be available on our website. We'll ask Alberto to give us a question in writing. So please continue asking questions. We'll make sure that they're all covered on our website. So maybe the last one here, Alberto, could you tell us a bit more about the business school and investors you work with? What is their role and how do you work with them?
Yes, thanks for that question. I mean, the investors are a very critical role in the competition. Once because they are the ones using the green coins once again to invest, but also because they are the ones really bringing the business, 100% business perspective into the game. So for our students, it's also very beneficial to confront that in opposition to a technical. So we work with tier 1 business schools. I think by the names you already noticed. So top level business school, usually coming from their MBA, usually full-time programs, but also management. And that's the criteria, tier 1 business schools and students from their MBAs or management programs.
Thank you, Alberto. And back to Marian.
Thank you, Alberto, again. The next case study will present Tamar Chapice from EIT Manufacturing, and will introduce their teaching factory competition. Tamar, floor is yours.
Thank you, Marian. Thank you. I'm Tamar from EIT Manufacturing. I work as an education officer at EIT Manufacturing, and today here I'm with my colleague Javier Gonzalez from education team to answer your questions comprehensively. I will share my presentation now. I'm really happy and glad to talk about EIT Manufacturing's flagship initiative, Teaching Factory Competition, which is a really new program. It was implemented first time last year, and it was very successful. And today I would like to share some insights out of this successful experience, what we gathered last year. Let me explain a little bit about Teaching Factory, what it is and how it works. Initially, the idea came from teaching hospitals, which offered students learning opportunities based on real life hospital situations and their interaction with the patients. EIT Manufacturing saw the needs of the students. The students needed experience of the real dynamics within the industry, which is really different from the academic dynamics often. And EIT Manufacturing created this collaboration space, Teaching Factory, where the industry and academia can cooperate with each other. They can share know-how, they can work together, co-create, etc. How it works in practice, this collaboration, we have companies on one hand who are challenge owners. As the companies have real life manufacturing challenges, they give these challenges to the group of students coming from the universities and vet schools. We call them solver teams. The solver teams are working on specific solutions to solve the challenges provided by the companies. And these solutions go back to companies, and companies are able to implement the solutions into their business models. Here we have one of the examples from last year promotion, Teaching Factory Competition 2022, which was about green manufacturing. And there is the challenge owner, the company, RNA plant, shoe producer company from Spain. And the challenge was about manufacturing shoe insoles towards a zero waste policy. They wanted to reduce their waste within this company. The solver team came from Croatia, the College of Applied Sciences, and they worked on the solutions and they provided the 3D printing solution. They explained everything to the company, how these solutions could be implemented in RNA plant, and to how to solve this waste reduction policy at the company. We've got success stories here from the companies and university and vet schools sites. All participants were very happy to have this experience for the first time, to interact with each other and to expand the network, etc. And they provided testimonials. So we received positive feedback, as well as we received some recommendations, and we are still working on that to implement in teaching factories this year and in the following years. Briefly about the implementation process. Last year, we opened call for proposal for the companies who provided challenges. Then we opened call for universities and vet schools, so who provided, who mobilized the students around these challenges. Afterwards, EIT Manufacturing supported teams of students by online courses, which was in innovation and entrepreneurship courses, and also practical courses like how to pitch in front of jury, etc. On the other hand, there were mentors from the companies and from the universities, and they also received some training support from EIT Manufacturing to better guide students during this process. The students worked approximately for 8 weeks on the solutions, and mentors supported, as I mentioned, in this process. And all these activities were implemented on Agora. Agora is a social network of EIT Manufacturing, where there are over 2,000 people registered from manufacturing sector, and it's a good opportunity for different stakeholders to interact with each other, to create networking. Also, it gives opportunity to organize seminars, webinars, organize private groups, etc. Afterwards, students provided their results, and they had the pitching sessions in front of jury, and we had 3 best teams at the end invited to the award ceremony, and EIT Manufacturing gave them financial prizes. And at the end, we also had a special award to the team, which included more women into their group. This is because the EIT Manufacturing's approach is to promote, to get involved more women into manufacturing, and to break this stereotype that women cannot work well in the manufacturing sector. So we promote participation of women innovators in manufacturing field. About the innovation aspect of teaching factory competition, it is entirely based on real-life manufacturing challenges. It is international competition, and it was very important from last year experience, because this international competition gave more motivation to the students and also to the companies to compete each other, to get more experience at international and European level. And it is one of the positive aspects of this program. The next one is added value for companies, while teaching factory competition is more focused on developing skills and practical competencies for the students in a manufacturing industry. It proved to be added value for the companies, as provided solutions were implemented at least partially by the companies, or they got some ideas how to improve these solutions into their business models. On the other hand, it also includes multidisciplinary approach, meaning that it involves the economic and management component, and also it is multicultural environment, as the students are working from one country to the another, to the companies who are coming from another country. So they have to work at European level, they have to work in English, etc. Here we have a comparison between hackathon and Teaching Factory competition to better visualize why Teaching Factory and how it is Teaching Factory competition different from other similar programs. I would like to highlight a few points out of this. For example, while hackathon is mobilizing students for 24 hours. The Teaching Factory competition has different intensity of work because first of all, students are working for some months on the solutions, and at the same time, students are learning. The students have workshops and trainings, etc. On the other hand, Teaching Factory competition has different results from hackathon and similar programs. Teaching Factory competition has different and many different specific solutions, while hackathon could be focused only on one product creation. Another thing is that Teaching Factory competition creates an opportunity to develop a startup or entrepreneurship while this group of students are working to provide solutions. These solutions can turn into startups later, or students are more confident to start their own business activities. And finally, I would like to mention that Teaching Factory competition has European dimension. It's, as I mentioned, when one company is based in one European country, the solver teams come from the other country. From last year, we had 6 challenge owners for the first time, 6 companies to participate in the competition. We selected them out of 20 applicants. We had 10 solver teams, new Agora users, and as I mentioned, we gave solver teams some prizes. On top of that, we gave funds to the companies to implement these activities and to support the students during this journey. This approach will be changed this year. We give companies prizes, financial prizes for the best challenges, and to the solver teams for the best solutions. For the EIT manufacturing, this program was also beneficial as we connected academy and industry. We expand our network. We increase the financial sustainability potential. I will talk about it later, and contributions to developing innovative manufacturing, which is one of the aim of EIT manufacturing. Here we have briefly the projection, what we are going to plan. Firstly, we give financial support and technical support right now to the companies and the students and to this program, to Teaching Factory competition. And in the following years, we are planning to turn this Teaching Factory competition into Teaching Factory service, meaning that when companies will announce their challenges and they will need to get specific solutions to their challenges, they have to pay for that, so that we support and we mobilize students and we give this solutions to the companies, and it leads to financial sustainability, which is important for the program and for EIT manufacturing as well. The Teaching Factory competition is a win-win partnership of companies, universities, vet schools, and EIT manufacturing itself. It improved the entrepreneurial and soft skills of the involved partners, of the students, and also of the mentors from companies and universities and vet schools. It increased employability of students in the industry. For example, last year, some of the students received internships and internship opportunities in those companies for which they were working on the solutions. The other thing is participant companies can improve their manufacturing practices and branding, as well as they can have new ideas of future collaboration between academia and industry, between manufacturing companies, universities, vet schools, etc. It also promotes planet-friendly industry development, meaning that, for example, last year, Teaching Factory competition was focused on green manufacturing. This year, it will be focused on deep tech, and all these topics are aligned with the European Commission's priority policies like Green Deal, for example, environmental issues, digitalization, etc. And as I already mentioned, financial sustainability is potentially is also one of the positive outcome. In terms of lessons learned, overall, our participants from the company side and from the universities and vet school, they were very satisfied, and they provided positive feedback to us. What we've noticed and what we've learned, and we are working on this aspect to improve this year and in the following years. The first thing is ensuring commitment from participants throughout the competition, meaning that students need to choose those challenges on which they would like to work on. So the selection process should be more bottom up rather than top down. Another aspect is the efficiency of the work of solver teams, because sometimes solver teams are not sure if they are on the right track, etc. And in this case, they need mentors support. That's why EIT Manufacturing tries to provide this training to the mentors to better guide the students in this process. And finally, the most important is frequent communication between the representatives of companies and solver teams to align their expectations, solutions with the challenges, etc. And at the end, here we have some opportunities how to scale up this Teaching Factory competition. The methodology and the learning tools are easily adaptable to a wide range of topics and sectors and into different environments. So it could be implemented easily in different EIT KICs and non-EIT institutions as well. It is also a very good opportunity for the universities, vet schools, national curricular professional development courses to involve into their education programs, as it is based on challenge-based learning, the Teaching Factory competition. And at the end, it has relatively low cost for KICs to implement this successive edition of the program. And at the end, I would like to take the chance and announce that we have this year a new promotion, new edition, Teaching Factories, which will be focused on deep tech. And we open call on 22nd of May for the companies. And if anyone is interested to learn more about how to apply and how all this process works, I invite you to join us for informative seminar, which takes place in June 6th. On Agora, on EIT Manufacturing's social network. You need to register there. That's it briefly. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamar. Before we ask the questions from the audience, you mentioned in one of the last slides that it's this concept is easily applicable to outside to the other contexts, in the cross-kick and also outside the cross-kick. What are the main elements or main aspects that you think that the people who would like to apply this should focus on? Brief.
It is beneficial for the kids, probably because of it could be financial sustainability is one of the key issue for all kids, for example. And on the other hand, it supports to contribute to the implementation of the aims of the kids, for example, because it connects different stakeholders in EIT manufacturing. For example, it is students who are working in who are learning some innovative skills and who are getting ready for the manufacturing company. So from our perspective, it can be implemented in different KICs like climate KICs or others. So I mean, topic can be changed, the model will be the same, so it will be beneficial as to ensure the implementation of the aims of each KICS.
Thank you very much. Jacobin, do we have any questions from the audience?
No questions from the, oh, there just came one in from Julia. Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any methodology in place to measure to what extent the impact created by the student ideas is aligned with EIT Manufacturing's values?
Well, so far, the program itself is aligned with the values of EIT Manufacturing, the overall idea of the teaching factory competition. But so far, as I mentioned, it is really new program. Last year, it was the first edition, so it is difficult to measure impact. But we are working on that, and we'll have more information and data this year and next in the following years.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Again, I'll ask us audience, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, you can always put them in the chat later as well. We'll make sure that the answers will be published on our website. So thank you, Tamar, and I'll
thank you very much.
Back to Mario.
Thank you very much. And then let's go to the next presentation and next case study. And I would like to introduce our colleague from EIT Raw Materials, Professor Guido Sonnemann from University of Bordeaux, who is coordinator of the AMIR program, and will present the details of this case. Guido, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your interest in the Advanced Materials Innovative Recycling Master Program that has been developed within the EIT Raw Materials. And I hope you then can see my presentation now. I will also put this in presentation mode. Is this visible for everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, good, very good. So as you see here, our master program is focusing on the topic of advanced materials. So for those not coming from the topic of materials, so we are talking about advanced materials. We'll also show a bit of slides on this. So these are mainly, the metallic and polymers and composites that are used a lot for materials used in the energy transition. And so huge increases will be done in the amounts used, but there is not always immediately a recycling. So there is a huge challenge to recycle them. And this is the core of the EIT raw materials with regard to focusing on critical raw materials and overall making raw materials an opportunity for Europe. And we had the seed funding from the EIT raw materials and developed this and got also labeled as EIT from EIT. And now we have a first cohort also with funding from AMIR, from the Erasmus Mundus, but I'm here focusing on the EIT. We are well aware, with all the rules that there's no double accounting. There are two project managers, but there is a part that is a track issue that are not all tracks are open to the Erasmus Mundus Master. I will come to this. So the recycling context and the challenge that is in this way addressed by the master, then some basic information on the master of advanced materials and recycling and our overall program structure. I will then also talk about the life of the students after and our team that is coordinating it, the effort. So the overall context is here the advanced materials now used in principle. You see this here with a nice slide, the whole periodic table of elements. And so we have huge amounts of materials and access to those, and some of them are considered critical. You know, there's the European list of critical raw materials, and we need to have 3 strategies how to, you know, get them in the economy, that is, you know, by more mining or access by, you know, a collaboration, and one is recycling, also increasing the resource efficiency. And so this is the area that this master on recycling is focusing on. And you see here, you know, the why they are critical is a question of where you buy from, and you see here particular for China, but also for cobalt from for rare earth elements from China, but also you see here from the Democratic Republic of Congo for cobalt. You know, huge parts of the supply come from a few countries, what makes them then critical, these raw materials, but I don't want to talk a lot about it. One solution is the recycling, and I had been working before at the United Nations Environment Program at the Secretariat of the International Resource Panel. And so we worked on this topic of recycling, defining here different ways how you calculate recycling from a materials point of view. What is mostly interesting is the so-called end-of-life recycling rate. So that is what is becoming a waste at the end of use, and what is then really being functional reused. And this is particularly interesting for metals, but also polymers are going now this way, so that you have a real circle. So you're establishing a circular economy. And so this now 10 years old report already that has made a lot of you know, citations and also policy impacts, shows which metals actually are recycled or not. And you see that, you know, the rare earth elements and a lot of these technology, you know, metals, and for example, lithium here you see is really important for the batteries. There's no infrastructure, there's not a technology, then a collection at that time. So huge efforts needed to set up this, and this is mainly related to the advanced materials. So therefore we need experts who are able to work in this establishment of the recycling and getting this job done. And this is the only master that is so much oriented. You put into the website, you know, master recycling advanced materials, and only the AMIR program pops up. So this is in this way is a worldwide leading program. We had a student who came from a European student who was working in China and wanted then, looking at the situation in China that there's so much waste generated, wanted to work on the recycling of those materials, was looking at and said, well, you are the program I want to join. So it's really, you can find us from around the world, and if you want to work in this topic. And so we are educating high-skilled professionals and that have a so-called T-shape, you know, knowledge base. So they have they come from natural science, material science, chemistry, or also metallurgy, and they have then, you know, or they come from the engineering side. We have both, you know, chemical engineering, process engineering, or materials engineering, and then they get sort of this additional elements that is now understanding recycling, understanding the whole raw materials value chain, understanding sustainability, and particular also entrepreneurship and innovation. In addition to, you know, so that we have we create really entrepreneurs, what's very different, for example, also from the excellence approach in Erasmus Mundus. So here we really focus out, and we are having a system of with incubators that we're working together at universities to mobilize our students, you know, to be interested in this topic, and they take part in Jumpstarter programs and so on. So we have 6 universities that is led by the University of Bordeaux. So I'm the coordinator of this program. Then we have from two first-year entries from so-called risk countries, so the ones that have a lower innovation potential. And so we have the Nova from University of Lisbon and the University of Miskolc, and when we have the second year University of Liège, Technical University of Darmstadt, and Technical University of Madrid. So these are the 6 universities that make it, and you will see then how students go through these universities. We are strongly accompanied by industrial actors and also research technology organizations. So you see here the French Geological Survey, you see here in France the Commission for Economic Commission for Economic Energy, and but now also renewable energy, and they work a lot on recycling as well. And then you have in Belgium the group CRM group that is focused a lot on raw materials and also has metallurgical experience, and then in Spain CISIC, in Germany Fraunhofer. So strong support from these big research technology organizations. And then from the French side, where we started the program with the 3 companies, ArcelorMittal, Arkema, and Veolia. We then they participate in our summer school. We have a second semester an industrial seminar where they intervene, and they give advice to our students and also the whole steering committee to make the program, impactful with regard to where talent is needed. And they share with us internship opportunities so that the students can join those companies, and also others. We have a website where others also can offer to us, the internships, and students then decide where they go, to an RTO, to a company, or they stay in a research center. And also at the end of the study, some go to these organizations. And we have also this helps us to work with those organizations to have quality assurance of the programs. So as I already said, entrepreneurship is a very important element of also that is, our natural science and engineering driven master program. We have created now also with the review, we weren't labeled immediately, so we had sort of to make some corrective actions, and now we have at least 3 CTS per semester where entrepreneurship is being taught, or the students are exposed to it. So that means the students are systematically going through the 2 years, confronted and learning about entrepreneurship and innovation. And we have made the links at university with the local incubators so that the students who are interested have immediately and get being considered as a potential entrepreneur. And students are from the EIT side, EIT Raw Materials, joining the Samskaper Lab for Market programs that are, helping them to bring their business ideas into, accompanying and make them growing. And also they do the study program RACE, that is a particular program developed by EIT Raw Materials, where they learn about the different steps and visit actors of the value chain. For example, the one year they went to, the mine, and then they went to a metals manufacturer, then to a car manufacturer, and to the recycling facility. So you see they are really getting this, and this is really high value. The students are extremely happy with these opportunities, and they discuss with the companies about what the students, what they should bring in order to find jobs. So that is really appreciated from all sides. So then the program, as probably know, it's always a master program, 120 CTS, so 24 months. The language is English. We, as I already said, we take people first different backgrounds from natural science, chemistry, materials, and engineering, chemical and process. And we got labeled by Erasmus Mundus, by the EIT Raw Materials, sorry, 2015, and then got the Erasmus Mundus in 2022. But we keep this totally separated. There's no, the funding is, as I said, no double accounting. The students don't get the same scholarship. And also we have different program managers, and we have clearly identified which activity is funded by which program. So the cohorts we have now, last year we had 38 students. We had an increase from our less than 20. So it's really start getting established, and the quality of the students, everybody is now really impressed that they win sometimes the excellence programs at each universities, and we have 40% of female, that is also a relevant parameter we are considering in the recruitment. So here you see then the program during the 2 years. So it's focused on advanced materials and science in Bordeaux in the first year, more on polymers and recycling in the first year in Miskolc, and in Lisbon on materials, advanced materials engineering. And the second year, then the students can choose between, they can go to Darmstadt, where it's for the design for recycling of functional materials. In Madrid, focusing on the circular economy, so more soft and a strong focus on construction products. And in Liège, the metal recycling, metallurgically speaking. And then the fourth semester is on internship and master thesis, where they in all Europe can go to companies they like, or to RTOs, or in research projects. So that's our program. I have here, the modules from Bordeaux. You see, that they have already there an internship, so it's practical. They have the industrial seminar. We have a course focusing really on batteries and renewable energies, and we also see on that recycling. So it's a mixture between material science and new complex, and you have also the entrepreneurship course. In Liège, then, for example, as an example, the second year you then come to raw materials, circular economy, large concepts. You got really knowledge on metallurgy, on solid waste bioprocess. You get some understanding on mining and recycling, because the processes are, for the materials prepper process side, very similar. The modeling of chemical processes, and then the master thesis, because they are the second year, it's independent and from the credits from the first year. So, and what life after army is, so the students really find their jobs, and we in very different areas of designing, of process part, on even administration of plants, of recycling plants, of project, also management. Really working in the field of innovation and entrepreneurship and new ideas of an entrepreneurship. And we have a lot of students from emerging economies, and they really have quoted, that for them the AMIA program is a life-changing opportunity, because they really find jobs that are of high technology level, where they would not have dreamt of to work at this level. A lot of them also, invest this in the further part on sustainability, and then recycling departments in bigger companies. Also, for example, Northvolt, what is known for the batteries, they have 100 people from 100 nationalities employed in the meantime at Northvolt. So now to come to an end, so you see here the individuals. That is not only me, it's a team effort. We have Alexander from Nova, Peter and Ferenc from Miskolc, Stoyan and Gregor from Liège, Joachim from Darmstadt, and Justo from Madrid. So we always, nearly every week, we have a steering committee called to get this master well managed and advanced. And here you see some of them, in the picture. There are also others who in the meantime were at the beginning there and now have moved or they gave on the jobs to others. So you have here the first cohort that was in a meeting in Bordeaux. Then of course, sometimes we had no physical meetings over COVID time. Now that we are getting back to physical meetings, as you see in the last slide. It is our coordination team. So you have a project manager from the EIT side and from the Erasmus Mundus, very differently manage these two. And here, the last cohort from last year, and here during a visit myself with colleagues from Lisbon. So with this, I have more slides if you want to go further into questions of structures or how financial structures, fees, and so on. And also I have more information on courses and so on at each university if you are interested. But I think I stop here. And I hope I was okay in the time. I already see that Marianne is showing up to tell me I should probably now leave the floor for questions and not monopolize here my time. So thank you for the possibility to present to you, our Master of Advanced Materials and Recycling. I think we really have here a unique piece that should be part of the new announced, Raw Materials Academy that is even part of the, circular Critical Raw Materials Act that was, proposed by the European Commission, as part of this overall Green Deal. Okay. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And as you can see, all these case studies are very various, where you have very also short term courses compared to the full scale master programs. So they will take a lot of time to understand all the details. And that's why just to remind you, all participants, whoever is interested, we will be happy to follow up and dive into the details in every particular case if you want to learn more. So thank you very much again, Guido. I think we have still time for at least one question, if there is any from audience. Jacobin?
I don't see anything, but let's give it a few seconds to see if anybody has a question for you in the chat. I don't see.
Come on, it's very technical, I know, and not everybody is interested in materials and raw materials. And this was considered a long time, to be the old field that why should we still look at this? And now suddenly it's back on the agenda, and a lot of efforts are needed to maintain in Europe this expertise and, and rebuild sort of part of this raw materials industry.
Maybe if you don't have any question yet from audience, just from me, because this is also clearly a very good example of how we combine the technical skills and competencies with the horizontal entrepreneurship and innovation. What are your personal feeling or experience? How do students benefit from their entrepreneurial track, or how they maybe?
Yeah, so we are also part of the University Bordeaux as part of the European University Alliance of one that is called ENLIGHT. Different universities are different, of those. And there we had a course that was on challenge-based learning, and some of the master students from the international program AMIR joined with additional credits that were not part of the master. It was difficult to adapt. And it was so amazing how the students have then developed really not any policy ideas, but they really were pushing the groups to say what we need to make a change is to build a startup. So this was amazing. They were proposing solutions for product service systems so that you are bringing electronic products back, and students who, students only stay 2 years for a master. So then they sell this back, and then somebody other buys it, specialized on electronic products. And another group focusing more on the on polymers and recycling. Very similar, not suggesting also to build a company and not, saying we have to lobby the policymakers. So the spirit has really taken up, and I was so impressed. It was really good to see this happening.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And now time to move to the final case study presentation. So again, let me
I will
welcome.
leave now because I'm in a meeting at the Swiss Material Science Institute here, Empire, today in St. Gallen. So, but thanks a lot for providing the opportunity to present. And if there's any further questions, Miriam and Anna, you can send also an email, and then we get back to you. All right. Thanks a lot, and have a good meeting. Well, pleasure to present today.
Thank you, Guido. So now switching to the final case study, and let me introduce Martin van der Kamp, who is Education Director at the EIT Foods, to present the professional education and certification model. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you for having me. So let me share my slides. Hopefully you can see them now. Right. So morning, last presentation. I'll try and sort of go through this quite quickly. So for us as EIT Foods, what we're sort of looking at are basically three different things to actually make a more sustainable food system. So the first one is healthier lives through food. So that's really on kind of nutrition side. The second bit is a net zero food system. And the third part is really getting transparency into the food system, but also to enhance trust. And so within this context, so for us, the food system is really very broad. It really starts sort of before even producing seeds to produce food, but then it goes all the way to post-consumer waste as well. So it is a very, very challenging environment, and the food system is very siloed. And so that means that if we are thinking about approaches, we need to solve for those approaches so that actually we can address these missions. Now, the number that really keeps me awake at night is that there are over 40 million people that are already working in agri-food, and so if we also include catering, horeca, etc. And so they already are working there. It is a very traditional type of sector. There is innovation going, but sort of ongoing, but that's actually concentrated in just a very small number of actors. So the vast majority of people working in agri-food are actually not familiar with innovation and entrepreneurship concepts. And but also the industry is not prompting them to actually get that engagement. So that's something that we needed to solve in some way. So the way that we as EIT Food position ourselves is really to be a platform where we can actually work with individuals, but also then to work with employers and professional bodies and training providers to create that sort of basis for individuals to upskill themselves and to be able to sort of contribute to innovation processes throughout the entire food system. So what we needed was something, particularly given the scale of the sort of the challenge, we needed something that was absolutely scalable and something that was going to be adopted sort of across the entire European Union, rather than something that we can work on an individual basis. It really had to be a more systemic type of approach that we were looking at. So there are a couple of specific challenges that we want to look at. So let me share this video with you to talk a little bit about what challenges we found when we were looking into the sort of the state of professional education or professional development in the food system.
The way we produce and consume food has many challenges that urgently need to be solved. But we have far too few bright minds with all the right skill sets to lead and support the transformation from farm to fork. We need many more across all sectors to create solutions to transition to a net zero food system, enable healthier lives through food, and achieve a fully transparent, resilient, and fair food supply. Yet more than 40 million people work in the European food system, from agriculture, manufacturing, retail across to HoReCa. So what is the problem? Most of them have skills shortages and are not equipped to deal with the challenges ahead. The vast majority work in small or medium-sized organizations where innovation is not a key priority. The required skills are also set to change, where qualification levels are going up. But there is no traditional education culture and no recognized evidence of additional gained skills. Nothing that would be visible on a CV. We spoke with over 1,000 companies, employers, and partners across our network in Europe to find out how they felt firsthand. Employers say they see a lack of international continuity in non-academic training, even though the food system is global and competencies really need to be transferable. HR managers feel unable to integrate professional standards into their HR practices, particularly around innovation competencies, and they're unable to use self-scans or HR scans for employees. Line managers find it hard to provide suitable staff development and role profiling based on employer needs. Organizations have nothing to evidence the caliber of their workforce, even if they do undertake training. Individuals believe there is nothing to evidence their advancement, and training providers have no way to show professional recognition, and they find it hard to prove their added value. The message was clear. Change is needed in order to professionalize education and to drive innovation across all parts of the food system. We've looked at developing solutions that meet the needs of industry and individuals. Our education and training provision will be at the forefront of these changes, setting a pan-European professional standard and a clear mark of excellence.
So that was the starting point for what we developed, really thinking about that big systemic change, but then also how can we actually grasp this. So because there is not a continuous professional development culture across the food system, like in other sectors, skills and professionalism are not really valued. We developed a competency framework to actually really articulate what do we mean by innovation and entrepreneurship competencies. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. Then the other thing is that actually lots of people are coming through non-traditional learning routes. So they might have spent a lot of time learning particular kind of skills, but they've all done that on the job and they've got nothing to show for it. So we developed a certification system that goes along with this. Then employers, they don't really know how to integrate sort of HR into sort of and particularly think about these skills in HR practices. So we developed a number of services for that. And then finally, also employers, they face a very fragmented learning ecosystem. So they might go to the local training provider for particular courses, but can't actually get what they are really looking for. And so for us, being a European union-wide kind of ecosystem, we can actually source trainings from all over Europe and make sure that they fit a particular kind of need. So this is basically the starting point or the context for our learning services and kind of entire framework that is the basis for this this best practice example. So the way that we've been looking at this is also another point is particularly looking at professional education. We need to have robust education. So from learning design, it is really sort of, it promises kind of, it delivers on what it promises to do. So that is part of what we're building in as well. Courses need to be relevant. They need to be relevant to the learner. They need to be relevant to the organization that they're working for, but they also need to be relevant towards the food system change that we want to drive. So we really need to have courses that are all focused really on impact, and to make sure actually that careers sort of can flow as a result of working on impact work, but also that there's a clear business case for organizations to engage with and to advance their sustainability agenda as well. And then finally, we also need to have that recognition, and that's what we've done by certification. So with this, we're really able to drive how innovation and entrepreneurship is being done in sort of across the entire food system. We are reshaping how employers are working with these skills, and then we're forging kind of the new generation of talents that are actually going to make that difference. And on the basis of all of this framework, we are actually core members of the Pact for Skills in Agri-Food to shape how this is going to be carried out across the whole of Europe. So the basis for everything that we're doing is a competency framework. So these are the 8 competencies that we developed, where we said that these are the ones that we really want to focus on and make sure that we retain a tight focus on this. On the left in green, those are the technical capabilities. So that is about understanding food systems from a systems angle, understanding sustainability challenges in those terms, and then data management and technology management. So looking at the latest forms of sort of technology, how that can help. And this is where we already were kind of anticipating what is now happening in the Deep Tech Talent Initiative that actually slots in really very naturally in our competence framework. Then on the right-hand side, all of our skills are very much about bringing those underpinning capabilities to life. So other people might call them soft skills. We don't like that term because they're not optional from our perspective. They're really core to what people are doing. So entrepreneurship is, of course, very important. But then because of how sort of traditional the sector is, problem solving and critical thinking are not necessarily a given, so we need to focus on that. And then leadership and communication, it's really about working with others and through others to achieve the change that is required. Everything is, of course, focused then on sustainability, on that impact piece for this. And when we developed this in the first instance, it was really to have focus for ourselves of kind of where do we want to focus. But then when we were thinking about how do people sort of grow in their role, people don't switch from one day to the next and become fully fledged. So what is that pathway through which people actually get more competent in these competencies? And so that's where we defined 4 different levels. So Explore is really getting understanding of core concepts. Practice level is becoming a confident practitioner in those skills. Mastery is really where it becomes much more strategic, and Inspire is about working through others and achieving impact that goes beyond people's own capabilities, etc. Once we had that, it became clear that actually we've got a really nice set of tools here, because we can start to do role profiling. We can start saying that, okay, someone has a particular profile, what is the next role that they want to move to, and then which are the skills that they might want to, that they need in order to be able to bridge this. Skills intelligence, we've got various bits of skills intelligence. We are already looking at what are the skills that are required in 2030 to 2050 to make sure actually that gets brought into the upskilling that needs to happen now. Then, of course, we've got a course catalog and we've got certification. And that is, the certification bit is actually really unique on how we work. So this is based on ISO 17024. That's an international standard where basically we are not involved in professional training itself, but the examination and certification is something that is done independently by EIT Food Assessment. And so this is where we've got a strict separation between training and assessment and certification, so that first of all, we've got more of that robustness that we want, but also we can actually look at only examination and certification as an additional route through which people can get their learning and their skills recognized. So this is really talking about those people that have sort of acquired all sorts of skills through their work, but have nothing to show for it. So it really is about actually then translating that into a certificate that has equivalence to, for example, a master's degree or other kind of recognized systems. So here now we've got a dual track. We can use the accreditation processes that are sort of in established training providers, but we can also offer this as a second route on this. So the way that this works in terms of governance is we've got learning services. That's really about actually having the platform, having the sort of approach on quality management, sort of accrediting training providers in some way. And then we've got completely separate EIT food assessment, which is then really about making sure that we can accredit, certify individual learners and what their achievements are. This entire approach is now EIT labeled, and I'm actually really very proud of the fact that our model that we'd developed actually was a sort of prime ingredient in the label extension, the EIT label extension for non-degree programs, so that we really were thinking in an aligned way there. So in terms of the impact indicators, then we've got a number of different impacts. So professionalization of practices, employability, HR practices, the recognition of the EIT label, a QA in teaching and learning, and really establishing a pan-European market for training around innovation and entrepreneurship. And so we can always link that to indicators that describe that impact. So we really know also that what we're doing, that has that impact that we want. So to date, this is the impact that we've achieved since 2018, since we started as a KIC. Now, this is not just what we've been achieving through the sort of professional education. This is our entire portfolio. But it's clear that there is a particular need, and we're starting to get that skill that we want here to go. But also we know that some of our education is leading to startups and entrepreneurs and innovations that are coming out of this as well. Then the final thing that I wanted to touch on is actually the lessons learned that the case study kind of in working through the case study that came out of this. And that is actually that we really wanted to create something that was complementary to what is already out there. So it's not something that we're competing with anybody. We're really in a niche where at the moment nothing is codified. So we're not stepping on anybody's toes in terms of national competencies around skills provision. We're not trying to compete with, for example, business schools or training providers in the agri space, but we're really sort of trying to create something that is sort of sits alongside what is already there and is able to bridge gaps on this. And the response on that one has been really very, very interesting. So very happy to continue talking about that. So with that, I'll stop here, and very happy to take any questions. But yeah, it's something that for us, it's been a really interesting journey over the last 4 years now, and we're really sort of starting to see some of the results out of this, but there's a lot more to come. So that's a really interesting part of the journey. So with that, thank you very much. Marianne, back to you.
Thank you very much, Martin. And I'm glad that you mentioned especially a link to the EIT label, because as you mentioned, this is, I just wanted to emphasize that this is a good example of and case study for how we at the EIT level want to expand the EIT label view on making sure that the quality on learners is there across different segments, in short. I have a question similar to other speakers, and you mentioned that the whole concept and model raised from seeing the need in your specific segment. But how do you think it's possible to expand or to with the applicability in the different segments in the EIT or outside the EIT context as well?
Yeah. So that's a really interesting one, because I think part of what we've built up is really driven from that need. But I think having that robustness in a way of thinking about innovation and entrepreneurship capabilities, that I think is universal. And so for me, I don't see that there's any issues there. And I think that you would be able to replicate this framework in other sectors very, very simply. I think what is different is that the kind of provision that you can sort of build on in that already pre-exist in a particular sector. So if sectors are already very technologically advanced, then actually innovation and entrepreneurship might actually be already part and parcel of sort of skills provision that is being covered. And so then maybe there is less of a need to actually then also still build an entire market for it. I think the framework in itself, the structure is always helpful, but you might not need to build the market. For us, we're also in the process of really market making for the interventions that we're discussing here. And so I think that is something that particularly with a traditionalist sector, that is a huge amount of work, and that's where the achieving scale is a challenge. But so I think there are some key learnings there actually that you would be able to adopt from in other sectors without any issues.
Thank you very much. I was a little bit disconnected, I think, through the technical details. Jacobin, do we have more questions?
Yes, we do. I think you might have some internet connection issues, but we're almost there, so that's no issue. Maarten, we have 2 questions already that came in. The first one is, where are self-employed farmers in all of this? How can they access these resources?
Yes, so for us, indeed, the farmer community has been a really sort of interesting nut to crack to get involved. There is a huge amount of learning that is happening sort of among farmers, but they do mostly peer-to-peer learning. And so one of the things is really working with student ambassadors, farmer ambassadors that are working and that are taking a lead role there and are working with farmers on an individual basis, so they can actually connect with that. But for them, and farmers are already very, very entrepreneurial. The only thing is that they will not use those kind of words. So it's also sort of a component of actually translating some of the concepts that here analytically we talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, actually to translate that into, well, actually, how do you make sure that your farm has long-term longevity? How do you respond to particular challenges if you see the climate changing, etc.? So what we're having here, there is a translation that is required to actually make this sort of resonate with farmers, but that's something that we've been doing, and that's particularly also those farmer ambassadors and student ambassadors have been absolutely seminal to achieve that.
Great, let's do the last question and then we'll go back to Marian. How do you track the achievements, for example, a startup created, of the students that have taken part in one of your courses, either face-to-face or online?
Yeah. So for us, we've always envisaged our alumni community as being part of the broader EIT Food professional network. So the facility that we've got is that people, when you get through a course, you become part of the professional network, but partners, they're also part of the professional network. The startups that we work with are part of this as well. And so we've got more than 3,000 people that are active on our platform. And so there's also really an incentive of individuals that have come through programs to stay in touch, because there is this thriving community where they can get support, where they can get ideas, where they can get maybe funding or other forms of support. And so that makes it possible to stay in touch and to actually track what is happening, because of course, indeed, we need to sort of understand what is the long-term viability for this. But I think the second thing here is, and that is an interesting one to think about in terms of education and what we do. We might have certain people that immediately go for a startup, and the startup might fail, it might go out of business, but 5 years later, they will start another startup, and that one might become more sort of successful. Or maybe people that are coming out of our programs, they don't start anything for 10 years, but then they will hit a blockbuster. And so for us, I think we always have this twin track of application in the immediacy and having that direct impact right here, right now, but also having that longer term indirect view on what skills development actually does in terms of economic and impact long term. And so that's, I think, for me, always something to keep in mind, that there's always that kind of indirect track that is happening as well.
Thank you. There's a few more questions, but we'll make sure that those are answered on our website. So I'll hand it back to Marian. Thank you so much for your presentation, Maarten.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Martin. And we are going to the closing the webinar today. And for closing remarks, let me invite Martin Herceg, Head of Innovation Ecosystem Unit here at the EIT. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marian. Hope you hear and see me as well. And let me also thank to all of you for attending today's webinar. I really hope you enjoyed this opportunity. As you have seen during the intro from my colleague Marian, the EIT has a wide range of education activities already. I mean, we have deployed hundreds of programs already. There are some 50 EIT labeled master and PhD courses. If you look at the Deep Tech Talent Initiative's website, you will see another 51 courses at the moment. If you check open online courses or Coursera, I think EIT Digital, let alone, offers 50 courses there. And we also continue building up the EIT campus side, where you will probably find, I think, 70 courses now, but this will soon host 250 courses, and this number is growing. So out of this vast portfolio of education programs and courses, over the last 2 hours, you have heard an interesting mix of 5 case studies and examples, which are both interesting and representative in terms of thematic focus, but also in terms of the type of the education. So many thanks again for the great presentations from our colleagues at the EIT Innovation Communities. And of course, let me also thank to the whole EIT team members who were here also today, making the case studies and today's webinar happen. And of course, again, all the EIT KICs who collaborated with us in preparing these case studies. Just as a technical note, the recording will be available later today on the YouTube channel. We will also post the answers to the questions. We were not able to answer fully probably today during the webinar itself. All the fact sheets, the case studies are all available on our website. And my colleagues have already posted the links to that in the chat. You can find it there. If you would like us to organize a deep dive session on any of these case studies, of course, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to follow up with you. But in general, also, please check out the EIT website and the links we provided for more details, to find out details about the activities we do, to find opportunities, but also the modalities to collaborate with the EIT community. So thank you very much to all of you, and bye-bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And also let me, from my end, thank everyone attending. I hope you find the information useful, and we will follow up. Please let us know if you found it interesting, and if you would like to hear back more to follow up on the particular cases. Thank you again.